Okay, you're live.
Good to go? All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in this Wednesday morning, April 7th, for the West Salem Redevelopment Advisory Board meeting. Therese, do you mind doing a quick roll call, please?
Sure. Jeff Miller,
Here.
Brandon Fallman is excused. Kathy Goss is not here yet. John Hannum,
Here.
Tyler Jackson,
Here.
Mark May,
Here.
Samantha Ross,
Here.
Brittany Davidson Cruikshank,
Here.
Michael Ryan. Michael, your microphone's off. You're here. I see. He said he's here, but we can't hear him.
For the record, he is here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. With that, has everyone had an opportunity to look over the agenda? If there's any additions or deletions, now's the time. Otherwise, I would take a motion to approve.
So moved.
This is Brittany. I'll second.
Perfect. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion pass. Moving on to minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to go back and listen to our sweet minutes from last month? If so, love a motion.
I move to accept as presented.
Thank you, Mark. Michael, seconds. Samantha, thirds. Any discussion? No discussion? Perfect. Let's take a vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect.
Thank you.
You're muted, Jeff.
There's no action items, so we're just going to move right into our guest speaker with ODOT and Tori.
Sure. So if you remember, it's been probably about a year. Carol was here to talk about, they call it something different than Wallace because it's a long stretch of road that they're of Wallace to us that they're paving and doing the accessibility improvements. So we figured since people are now seeing some of that progress happening, it'd be nice to get an update. And so Leah has agreed to take a few minutes of her time to update us on that project. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time.
Hi, good morning. My name is Leah Kagawa. I'm an assistant resident engineer for ODOT in the Salem construction office. And yes, Wallace is just the portion in West Salem. The whole shebang is Oregon 221. And our project limits is generally from Michigan City Lane, so the northern end of Wallace to Edgewater Street, so right by the ramps heading over the bridge. So along with the update, I'm just going to give you a refresher of what's going on and what you should expect to see over the next year, year and a half. This construction project is expected to be completed in the summer of next year. So the project's purpose is to resurface Wallace Road, upgrade traffic signals, upgrade curb ramps to meet current ADA standards, so Americans with Disability Act standards for accessibility, improve in pedestrian safety by adding audible feedback and signalized pedestrian crossings, install RFBs, and incidental work. So incidental work is like waterproofing the bridge that's along that stretch and upgrading the guardrail at that bridge and in other areas where there are drop-offs. So instead of 29 inches high, they're a safer 31 inches high. Cars are getting bigger than they were before. So feel free to stop me if you have any questions while I'm presenting. This is all should be pretty straightforward, and Carol probably gave you an overview before.
Does any of the incidental work include sidewalk repair?
Yes, there will be some sidewalk walk repair. Not all of it has been identified. And actually this week I intend to do a walkthrough and mark out areas where I see significant damage. I noticed that there's a lot of heaving, probably from trees or just time and prior construction and ongoing construction work. So if you or people around you notice anything and want that addressed or have questions or concerns, my contact information will be shown at the end of this presentation, and it's also on the project website. And please feel free to contact me so that I can hopefully address those areas. Okay, so the existing conditions, Wallace Road in its busiest portion experiences over 40,000 annual average daily traffic and services about 35,000 motorists. There are more than 24,000 residents in West Salem, but everybody in the region benefits from utilizing Wallace. It's just easy to get to the coast, easy to get to the wine country, easy to get to Salem, etc. Wallace Road is part of West Salem's business district. So again, a lot of traffic in that area. It's also part of a truck route. So there's a lot of heavy traffic. And as we all know, there is like an aggregate pit off of Wallace Road. So there's a lot of traffic at that River Bend intersection. Mm-hmm. And of course, chariot bus routes are serviced on this road as well. So the resurfacing portion of this job is pretty straightforward. We're removing and replacing the surface layer of the pavement. Areas with failures, we're going to remove and replace thicker layers of the pavement. As I said in the previous slide, the areas by River Bend intersection are especially in poor condition because of the heavy traffic and truck traffic there. So we do recognize that, and we will be addressing that. Signal upgrades, we'll be replacing signal detections with improved systems, replacing signal heads with reflective backplates for better visibility. And then probably the most visible and significant portion of this job is curb ramp repairs and upgrades. We are going to be upgrading over 150 existing ramps throughout this project. The majority of these ramps are being reconstructed to be ADA compliant, and ADA compliant curb ramps benefit the community by providing surfaces that are more easily traversable by all, reliable and consistent delineation of a sidewalk and a street. So that last bullet is for those yellow or red truncated domes that have like the tactile surface. So if you're visually impaired, you can hear, oh, I'm going to be entering a place of potential danger, the street. And then, oh, I'm back in a safe area, the sidewalk. So in case you ever were curious about why we were putting that there, that's why. Improving pedestrian safety. The audible feedback at signalized intersections, they'll notify pedestrians where they are. I don't know if you've ever been to one before, but it'll say Wallace and River Bend, and it'll tell you which intersection you're at once you click the button. It'll also tell you don't walk, and then walk, and then it gives you a countdown, like how much time you have left to cross the street. So making sure that you get there in time and not crossing when you don't need to. This is beneficial for people, for all persons. I notice a lot of people on their phones, not necessarily paying attention to traffic. So I think anything extra to help and improve safety for pedestrians is very beneficial to the community. And it helps motorists like not have as many surprises as people just walking out in front of them and causing a crash. The rectangular rapid flashing beacons, I don't think that there are any in West Salem at this point in time, at least not on our highway system. I know on commercial in South Salem, there is one. But in this project, we'll be installing them at 5 locations, by Vic Avenue, by the Park and Ride, by Orchard View, by Linda Lane, and by Narcissus Court. On our project website, they made a little interactive map kind of showing you where these are all of these improvements are going to be occurring. So if you zoom in and you click on them, RFB is going to be installed here. And then zoom in, click here, push button with audible signal here. And it goes all the way down the project site, or the project limits. This is a occasionally functional link. And then if you want, I have a short video from ODOT regarding RFBs. Otherwise, this is the YouTube link to watch. Would you like to watch this video? It just demonstrates the benefits of it and how it functions. I'm going to assume no, and you can watch this on your own time. It's very short. So with these improvements, there will be traffic impacts. So motorists should expect daytime work for the most part in the northern section of the project. As we get closer to town, it'll mostly be night work, or at least night closures. There might be day work going on, like for the ADA ramps, because they will not impact traffic lanes. But when we will impact traffic lanes, you should expect us more at night. On our ODOT website, you or the public can sign up for construction updates, and we'll give you an idea of what we're doing on a weekly basis and what kind of traffic impacts we'll be having for that particular time. And then why I'm actually here, the project update. We completed the guardrail upgrades this week, and so far constructed 5 street corners with curb ramps, and we are beginning an RFB electrical work this week at Vic Avenue. Sidewalk construction is a fairly slow going process. There's a lot of precision that's required, and so it might seem like we're taking a long time at any particular corner. It just takes a lot of effort, and the ADA standards are very specific, and to ensure that we are compliant and we provide safe and functioning ramps, it takes a lot of concentration, and sometimes we have to redo the work to make sure that it is done correctly. So again, our project website can be found at the oregon.gov website. Our number is 20122 if you do a search in the project pages. Trip Check will be regularly updated with impacts, but it won't tell you what's going on. Does anybody have any questions?
Is the order of construction generally from north to south, or I mean, I know Vic is sort of in the middle. Is there a method that we could sort of anticipate, or is it some other priority?
Yeah, so we are trying to move north to south. Yeah, we were trying to move north to south. Some of the incidental work, such as sidewalk repair and the bridge work, might be a little bit out of order just because of contractor availability and weather. A lot of our work is weather dependent. And we should have at least one, like a majority of the curb ramps and the sidewalks completed before we'll do paving, which will be the biggest impact to traffic, to motorists. And the paving, I don't anticipate that being longer than 3 weeks in total. And it might even be broken up, part this year, part next year, in the summertime. But construction schedules are very dynamic and we have to be flexible. So I do encourage you and I do encourage the public to sign up for construction updates so that they can know what to expect in terms of their travel times.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had one question. Did you say that there are 35,000 daily motorists on Wallace? Is that what, did I interpret that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I guess maybe this is pre-pandemic. I don't know what the
Okay,
figures,
that's okay. Yeah.
what the figures are now, but there are a lot of people that are driving up and around.
Yeah.
And
That's a lot.
one part of our counting doesn't necessarily recognize the difference between an individual motorist. So we can see the same person going back and forth. Maybe they forgot their keys and they might have been counted twice, but it would be minimal in terms of the difference in number.
I had a question on the intersection at River Bend. You were talking about the heavy construction traffic that's there with those large trucks. You said you guys are going to put a little bit more repair into that. Is that also
Sorry, just a minute.
Is there also a plan to build that up to make it more reinforced so it would have less repairs in the future?
Yes. Well, the particular asphalt mix that we're going to be putting in the lanes that are most usually used by the trucks coming in and out of there will be a more robust mixture. But I have to say, it's hard to predict how the traffic will be in the future. And generally, when we design our pavement mixtures, it's for about a 10-year service life. Just because if you overbuild it too much, you don't know if you're spending too much money or too little. And so I think it's been about 20 years since we did a full reconstruction of the road, and like we had an overlay in a 10-year interval. So 10 years is pretty average. So the new mix that we'll be putting in that section that is thicker should last at least that long. And at any time, if you or the traveling public experiences poor quality highway conditions like potholing or cracks and all that, please feel free to send an inquiry to Ask ODOT, and we do read them and we do investigate, because sometimes it's beyond the damage is beyond what we anticipated and we should come back earlier. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I heard different information when you guys presented to the West Salem Neighborhood Association that no work was going to take place during the day at all. That was 2 months ago or 3 months ago when you gave your presentation to us. So why are we saying work is going to be done during the daytime now? Everything's supposed to start at night around 6:30, be off the road so that traffic can go back and forth, so the commuters can go back and forth and get home.
The lane closures are primarily at night. The work impacting the day, general work impacting the day can occur. That general work that does not impact the lanes during the day can occur, such as the ramp construction.
So cement trucks pouring cement on these ramp constructions are not going to block a road, and all lanes will be open is what you're telling me. And I find that hard to believe.
All traveling lanes. So the two-way left turns that are in the middle, they don't function the same as a dedicated through lane. So just going back and forth in a dedicated turn lane. And so for us, we do not consider that as a traveling lane. It doesn't have a dedicated purpose.
Okay, I'm not going to put you on the spot here. I will reach out and talk to the 2 project managers about it offline.
Okay.
And, okay, but thank you.
Are some of the timers for the street crossing, since this is an ADA thing, are they going to be affected or changed or moved into a different timing schedule to make it longer for people to cross the street in different areas, or and including those new median crossing? Is it a median crossing in, like on Vic? Is it a 2-stage, they come to the middle and then they push again, or is it just going to block the entire 6 lanes across the way, 5 lanes plus the bike lanes? Any updates there yet?
In terms of signal timing, I cannot fully speak. That's not my area of expertise. And also, the signal timing is under the city's jurisdiction. I don't know if Tori can speak to that, but we might. If you want, I can ask and get further information for you, Tyler. Regarding the RFBs, they will flash for the whole run, so both north and southbound lanes. But for motorists, they only need to stop for the pedestrians once they cross the lane that they are in and the adjacent lane. So if someone is crossing the northbound lanes, the southbound people should be yielding, but they don't necessarily have to stop. Depending on where they
video about that? Is there like a
yeah.
legal? Okay. I think we'll probably all need to learn some new skills then.
Okay.
It's only been 26 years since I took my driving test, so I don't think those exist.
I took mine 5 years ago. That was the current law that I had to learn.
You and Tori did the same, 5 years back. Yeah. He had a mustache when he was 12.
Thanks.
Tori, any word about the timing on this?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything as far as changing signal timing or crossing timing. I could check in with Tony Martin, but that hasn't been something that's been brought up or requested by the community.
And to help you, Tori, I've been in contact with mostly Eric Destival. I don't know if they'll make your routing of emails easier.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Leah? Well, Leah, thank you very much for showing up and having a quick discussion and an update.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Tricky
you.
project.
Have a great day. So moving on, West Salem Neighborhood Association, Michael's already chimed in here. It'd be good to meet him. I've not personally met you, Michael, but look forward to the day to be able to do that in person. With that, welcome.
Thank you. Maybe before I start, you guys can explain to me the functionality of this organization and the makeup of it. It would be helpful to me.
Sure, I can do that. So there's a West Salem urban renewal area that was established in 2001. And what that does is it sets up tax increment growth. So there was basically any tax growth that grew within the district from 2001 to present. Those funds are retained and utilized for specific projects in the urban renewal plan. So these are all set up through city council. If you watch on not every Monday when there's city council, but at least twice a month, they gavel in as the urban renewal agency. And so they are, city council's the urban renewal agency, and they appoint an advisory board. And we have 3 of them in the city. So there's a downtown advisory board, there's a Northgate urban renewal advisory board, and in this case, we have a West Salem redevelopment advisory board. So we have typically when all of them are filled, and we had a member that moved to Boise, and so we have an open position. It'll probably be filled here pretty soon. Typically, we have about 11 members that are appointed by city council by the urban renewal agency. And so they're representatives from some from the neighborhood association, from the business community, business property owners in the district. We have one downtown representative, Kathy Goss, who hasn't been, she's not with us today. So a good mix of people, again, all appointed by city council as the urban renewal agency. So what they do is they advise. So we just went through the budget process, and so they advise, make recommendations to the agency on funding priorities for the district. And that can go throughout the year too. So if something comes up that needs particular attention, the group speaks about it and they can make recommendations to the agency. And if they want to move on those particular items, then they'll bring them up at their meetings.
Okay. Where can I see the budget? Where do I need to go?
So it's going through the city budget process right now. So I think you can track that. You can participate as a member of the public, or you can be a part of the budget committee. But I'm not sure where that on the city website. There should be a section for West Salem.
I'll reach out to the city then, that's fine. Does anybody on this today in this meeting live out in West Salem? Well, all right. So let me ask you all, do you attend any of the West Salem neighborhood meetings? Shame on you.
Looking for that invite.
Just join the Facebook page. It's there.
Cool. Where's just
I will send
West
a
Salem
link. I will
Neighborhood
send a
Association?
link out. I will get a link out to you guys. You
Thanks.
all know Stephen Anderson, I would think.
Oh, the unofficial mayor.
I'll get a link to you guys because we'd really like to have you guys participate, especially since you belong part of the business out here.
Are the meetings still 2 hours? Are they going for 7 to 9 or?
We schedule them from 7 to 9. I try to get them over. I try to make them not that long because my day starts like at 6:30 in the morning, and
Right.
yeah.
It's hard. I've attended a few. I'm Samantha Ross with West Salem Business Association. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
But it is hard.
I agree.
The times that I've been on those calls, it's like, what are we doing here? So I think
I've tried to streamline the process since I've taken over as the chair. We no longer talk committee reports anymore. I have those sent out ahead of time for people to read. And if they have questions, they specifically ask the questions. Mm-hmm. We usually just talk about open issues going through, and then we try to invite more people from the city and county, or police officers, fire department, to talk more about what issues are going on and let the residents ask questions. We've had some really good meetings and around the homeless situation and how it's affecting the downtown business area and the parks. I encourage you all to join our next meeting on April the 19th, because that's going to be our two main topics: is our Salem and what they're proposing out here in West Salem, and the homeless and the police audit that came out. And we're gonna have a lot of discussion around that. I'll get you the website. I'll get you the Facebook page so you can join, and then we put everything up there. We're in the process of creating a web page for West Salem. Hopefully it'll be done the next 30 days, and then we can link everything up on the web page. And then at that time, we'll probably come out to you guys and try to link something for you guys to point to the business associations out here, so that we're more in centralized kind of communication. So that's what we're trying to do. Let me give you a little background, because I've moved to West Salem and I got here in November 2019. I'm from California. Don't be nice to me now. I from the Bay Area. My family and I vacationed all the way up here in Oregon quite a bit. We love the area up here. The kids are gone, they're out of the house. So my wife and I decided it's time for us to leave, and values of property in the Bay Area skyrocketed. So it was an opportunity for me to sell my house and to move up here. I'm employed by a capital equipment maker out of Silicon Valley. I work remotely. My company makes the equipment that you're looking at, flat panel screens, TVs, cell phones, things all like that. So I work for a capital equipment maker. I'm a supply chain manager by trade. I'm on a special project right now. I got involved because I thought the communication and always felt that you have to get involved in the neighborhood that you live in and participate. So I started joining the meetings, listening to what was going on. And then I just there was some controversy in the past, and I'm a proponent of transparency process, everything. And so that's once I took over, we are very transparent on what we do. I hold the city transparent. I push back on them about communication, and they need to share everything with us. And everything I get, I send out to the community. I'm just the voice of the neighborhood. Whatever they want is what I will push for. So that's a little bit basic about me. I'm trying to learn as I go along, understanding all these different issues. I didn't realize a chairman was a full-time job. It seems like with all the stuff I get from planning issues, and it's amazing all the stuff that goes through the neighborhood associations. But I appreciate you guys reaching out to us. We really like to get more involved with you guys out here and form a solid partnership and how we can work together. So please, anytime you need something from the neighborhood, just reach out. I did go through, and I'll just list out some of the things. I sent out a request to the neighborhood saying I was coming to this meeting and they were asking me some questions. I said, what do you guys want out here in West Salem? And I skimmed through it because some of it has to do with, I got answers all over the board, from homeless situations to construction to everything. So I just took out what really falls into a business category. People would like to see a Winco or a Walmart out in this area, a laundromat. Since I couldn't believe that we don't have a laundromat on West Salem. That one surprised the heck out of me, that there's no laundromat on this side of the bridge. A lot of people would like to see residential construction come to a stop with lack of infrastructure to support it. And that's not you guys, but I just wanted to throw that out there to you guys. Maybe a Fred Meyer, Trader Joe's, or a Buy Mart. Some people would like to see a restaurant like a Denny's or IHOP out here. A hotel. They really believe that the industrial buildings down there, and again, I apologize, I'm trying to remember the streets here. Off of Edgewater, is that Patterson, where the street where okay, I got that right. They really believe that those industrial buildings could have great potential for redevelopment. And this is one of the issues we're also pushing with our Salem. Let's develop some businesses down in that area. I think we should be able to, and it's a zoning thing, so we have to look. I think they're trying to push a multi-use type of zoning down in that area. So what can we do in that area to try to make more development there instead of just trying to push it? I don't know how familiar you are with our Salem, but they're trying to put these hubs up on Glen Creek all the way up by Dokes Ferry for small little businesses. And it's mostly just people working out of their house. I mean, maybe a nail salon, a barbershop, we're saying let's develop down there and let's make that area viable down in that Edgewater district. Let's get businesses down there and draw. It would provide work for the people out of here, but I understand that part of the problem is getting a big box store or something in here there's no easy way to get here from I-5, right? It's just it's a mess to bring stuff over. I mean, you have to go through downtown. It's really terrible, but that's one of the things. Some people, which I think is a great idea, and I don't know if you guys could help out. Along Edgewater, those big industrial buildings, it would be great to put some murals on the side of those buildings and make them look a little bit nice. I'm going to reach out to the city. Maybe they have something in arts or something that can help with that. Do some enhancements of the park in Edgewater, make it a little bit more family friendly, get more people to get down to Edgewater. And this is one of the things we're trying to drive down to. Let's get down and let's spend our money down in Edgewater. That's where we're talking about. It'd be nice to get some small shops, some restaurants down there, and let's build up the neighborhood, that area down there. If we could get somewheres with a fenced dog park in here on this West Salem, a lot of people walk their dogs. There's no place really to take them to. I don't know if there's some property that we can get somewheres. I'm gonna reach out to the city about that one as well. A movie theater along this area would be nice. And then not to just another, which would help the Edgewater businesses, is to increase garbage receptacles along Edgewater because it gets so messy. So I'm gonna also reach out to the city about seeing what they can do there. But I had one statement was made to me, and a lot of people commented on that they agreed with this, and I think it's important that you guys hear this. It appears that this is not for the taxpayers' needs or wants, but for the business investors to make money from the West Salem taxpayers. So I think that's an important message that is coming from the communities and people. Just wanted to throw that out to you guys. I don't know enough about the ins and outs of your organization and how it affects West Salem. But I just, like I said, I'm all about transparency. And this is some comments that came out from my questions to people. I'd like to go back and ask you guys, how are you looking at your redevelopment plans with our Salem and what they're proposing for the area downtown? Are you guys working together? Has anybody talked to our Salem group about what's going on downtown?
Yeah, so our Salem group, Eunice has been here a lot. So she's been all over town. I think, as you know, from Sam's perspective, from the business association, she's had them out. Individual property owners, they probably have their own discussions. So we're tracking it. And I don't know, they haven't reached out to the group yet to this point to get a recommendation for support. I don't think she's at that point in the process. So individually, they could probably share the information with you, but as a group, they haven't collectively weighed in.
So you know that the first plan was already voted by and approved through the city council, and they're finalizing the plan. And they're coming back out to talk to us about it. And, you know, there's some heavy discussion we're going to have with them about the industrial area down there and how it's zoned. And support on Edgewater Street from a zoning standpoint. We'd rather see more multi-use put in down through Edgewater and in that area than multi-use put up into the hills.
So the multi-use is already along Edgewater. So you bring up a point with the industrial, there is the existing designation. And so they are looking at long-term. So I think that generally the group has been supportive, but again, they haven't taken a full collective position on it. You know, individual members might have varying perspectives, but
what kind of tools do you guys use to bring in businesses to West Salem? My understanding is, and I was told, and I apologize if I get this wrong, but I'm not saying it was you guys, but out of one of the groups, they were able to bring in somebody from another town onto Portland Road, a cheese factory or cheese business or something. How do we go and attract businesses to come to West Salem? What kind of tools do you guys use?
So we have a grant program that we've actually seen a lot of redevelopment along Patterson. Some new buildings going on along Patterson, which is good to see. A lot of existing businesses to expansion to Ace Hardware. We assisted with the Glen Creek and Wallace Road new development that's on that corner. So, and as far as like connectivity, a lot of the multi-use trail in Wallace Marine Park along Edgewater, so accessibility along Edgewater. So a lot of that improvement has been funded through urban renewal. We're looking at doing it Second Street, so that's something that I'll be bringing to your group as soon as right now the survey notice has gone out, so we don't really have much to share, but I'll be coming out to you guys to share as that's moving forward. So there's been a lot happening. We do what we can to provide the infrastructure, have the grant programs to entice them. You know, it's really up to the market, the free market, you know, at that point, if there's a space for them to locate and if there's a demand with the population, you know, we do what we can to accommodate.
Okay. And I'm trying to understand the economic growth engine that the city is using to saying that we need to go out and get all this stuff out here. And what does that do from a business standpoint? Because I like to see some more either a mom and pop type shop businesses along down there to drive, some people to come over and spend their dollars over in West Salem in this area, or a couple of retail stores or something like that. But I don't see how that can happen. I don't see what we have out there to entice businesses to come this way. I just think it would help develop. West Salem has a little niche there that could be really nice as a area to go and visit that area if we can get it all developed down there. I think it's a perfect place for small little, specialty stores and this and that, and little restaurants or whatever, just to drive people over to go look at it, or for people here on this side of the bridge to go spend their dollars down in here instead of going across the bridge or going somewhere else in other towns. Just curious, that's all. I mean, I've been asking this of the executive board quite a bit about why can't we, and I know we have to move slow, we have to get correct funding, all that, but just wanted to throw that out there. I know what your thoughts are about something like that, helping develop that area down there.
It's fun touching on the ideas of once you're on this side of the bridge, enjoying this side of the bridge and going to Chicha and going to Waterfront and seeing all that and slowing down and not crossing over that bridge into the other parts of town. But I mean, the heart touch is the bottleneck of the bridge and all that stuff, getting anything over here. And I'm hopeful for West Salem. I think it's growing. I think it's a lot of fun. People are coming, but yeah, the redevelopment of those big buildings on Patterson, that'd be great. Something in a indoor dining or a family fun zone, some sort of kind of play center. Or I'm not a fan of a big box store over here. It takes away from the mom and pops. Their number one passion is to hit units over quality of product. And I mean, Trader Joe's is one thing, but Walmart, keep it on I-5. And so I mean, it's exciting though. I think some things, there are a few issues in our mind, or in my mind especially, that I would love that we've talked about, and we keep running into roadblocks. Is kind of like the entrance to West Salem sign that we keep getting told no, and I'm getting to a point where I'm just going to build my own and tell you to tear it down. And I dare you to tear it down and kind of thin area, because it's getting kind of silly. I can put up a tent on a block and you can't take that down, but I can't put up a sign that says "Welcome to West Salem." And
So where do you want this? Where do you want this sign at?
Samantha, that's all you. Go for it. Yeah.
On every corner.
Yeah.
So coming off the bridge is.
Yes, that's correct. It's that concrete area that's very, it's an eyesore when you come right over the bridge. And Tori has been so great with trying to move that up the hill, like that hill. But we just really haven't gotten anywhere just because of ODOT. They have some statistics in regards to accidents, people going over that medium there.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tori. That's kind of like.
Yeah, no.
Has anybody ever gone over that median?
Yeah, trucks. It looks like that's something that was brought up. So when I shared it with the group,
Mark,
they just
teach them
have
to drive better,
multiple.
man. Teach them to drive.
Yeah.
Let me see what I can do to help out. I'll raise some issues as well.
Mhm.
I'm actually meeting with Paul Evans next week on an ODOT issue of trying to clean some stuff up off of Rosemont in 22. I was the one that argued with them about Wallace Road and the bridge and had them put in the fencing up underneath the overpass to quit stuff from dropping down and keeping that area a little bit clean. Now we have a mess on Rosemont at 22, so I'm going to be
The figurine collection.
yeah. So I'm going to be talking to him about that. But let me try to I'll put a bug in his ear here at the same time, saying, "Hey, it would be great to have that. I think it's a great idea. Let people know where they are." And I'm also meeting with our city councilors next week Virginia and Jim on some issues, and I'll put it in their ear too and ask me why it can't happen.
Tori, I was wondering if Leah said anything about the temporary crossing that they were talking about when Carol was in. That was going to be at Second Street. I didn't hear that come up in her discussion. Are they going to put a temporary crossing across Second Street during the
I believe
construction?
so. I don't know if they're at a point yet where it's needed, but that's the plan.
Okay.
They plan to have that crossing there when it's, when there's construction.
That thing will be solidly blocked by traffic.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, real quickly, just two things. It'd be good to maybe clarify a little bit what you're talking about when you say the industrial area and repurposing that. And number two, you mentioned the tax increment financing, and there was a comment about some skepticism about this group and the financing. And I think it's important to address that. And perhaps Tori, maybe you can clarify that question, and Tori, you could jump in and clarify that a little bit. So with that, Michael, why don't you just clarify when you're talking about these industrial areas?
Well, I guess it's if I look at, and again, I apologize, I don't know, I still haven't learned all the areas down there. But if you take the Salem Electric Yard, well, that area there, and you look at some of those buildings all around there, there's some, I think one of them's a cannery, or I believe there's a cannery on there, but some of these buildings, I just think that whole area, there's like vacant buildings, they're not being used. I think there's for lease or for sale signs and some of these things. It would be nice to make this area a little bit more friendlier, or some type of use in there. I mean, and that's one of the things we're trying to address and look at. What can we bring in here to build this area up from a standpoint? Can we bring in part of, let's say, if it's Patterson Street there where you come off Edgewater, can some of that be redeveloped into small businesses, and a multifamily businesses on the bottom with family dwellings on the second story or something like that? Those are the things we're trying to ask ourselves. What can we do to make this area a little bit more attractive? And we have some issues amongst ourselves. A lot of people still want to keep this very industrial. Some of us want to see us change from industrial to more of a commercial type of, more what you see on Edgewater Street as it is, or on Wallace Road. I agree, not necessarily a box store, but maybe something there that would help the citizens of West Salem. I think it's a great idea. I never thought about a little fun center for the area out here, or something to do place for people to go do activities or something like that. So I think we're all open to conversations of what can we do to help enhance this area, is basically what we're talking about.
I would say really quickly, all these buildings are occupied by businesses, other than ATI is starting to shift a lot of their workforce, and they're further back here off 9th Street. Oh no, they're off of 7th, I guess. Majority, we have seen some migration of like Rain Sweet, Oregon Fruit move to other parts of Salem. So there has been, the food producers from like this area. There are some vacancies over here, but for the most part, throughout the other industrial area, that's pretty much all occupied and operating. And I think that's where again, the group hasn't come together and made a recommendation as far as the Our Salem effort, but we've been generally supportive of having this as a long-term mixed use, because if the migration continues with the food processors, if there are more businesses moving out, because it is kind of difficult to logistically have locations in this spot, just want to be ready for that in the future. So I think it's similar to what you're saying, in the future, what does this look like when there are vacancies? And I think that it's leaning in that kind of mixed use where you could have commercial, retail, offices, dining, things like that.
Yeah, I think we're talking the same thing. I might have got my terms wrong. We need to plan for people when these buildings start to vacant, that, hey, let's be able to already have it zoned the correct way, that we can entice people to come in and we just don't have an eyesore just sitting there, right?
Sure.
And utilize that land down there. I'm not saying let's flatten all this out and build homes down there. That's the last thing we want to, we need to have some things that support the area out here. It would be nice to put some things in here that could drive some job opportunities for the young, some of these high school students out here in West Salem and stuff that they, if they have some jobs down in this area. That way you're not crossing the bridge all the time.
I
But
think Salem Electric, what's Salem Machinery? I mean, welders, they did some heavy, the amount of machinery that comes out of that. I'm surprised actually the size of the machinery that.
Yes, it is. That's how I started my job life, was working in the machine shop. So I was actually going to go knock on their door, see if I could take a tour. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, I think, I think we're on the same page. We need to zone this. This needs to be zoned the correct way, that when things become available, it's easier for us to already go out and entice somebody to come in and put something in there, right?
Tori, can you clarify between Patterson and Murlock and from West Salem CrossFit down towards the river? I mean, that's not full. Truett Brothers is on the right, but that little box on the corner of Patterson and Bassett that's
a warehouse, right? I think Truett, I mean, Michael could speak to it. They still utilize it.
Yeah. So yeah, the two spots where it says Truett Brothers Inc. On, Murlock and Bassett on the northwestish corner. I mean, that's 100% utilized. Across the street from that, we have the three, up a little north. So where Bassett runs through, those three buildings are full. They're warehouses.
Okay.
This little building just south on Bassett and Murlock, where it has that little curve where the railroad track used to run by.
Yep.
That's a lot of old retention that we have. Yes, it is looking derelict. We have looked into redoing that building and doing repairs on that. We're talking several $1 million.
Or you got money, right?
just
yeah, we can help with redevelopment.
And then this white building here, which we call the Chiquita building, which I think still has a Chiquita sign on the corner of it. With the new purchase of our company with a new parent company, they're already eyeballing that to redevelop that and have expansion. So right now with Truett Brothers, we currently run 4 days a week, and we're looking right now over the next 2 years to add on another crew so we can run 6 days a week. So we have big plans for expansion to bring in more employment opportunities to this area, which then, yes, it'll bring in more traffic, but then it'll also bring in more, is there a mom and pop place to get lunch or go shopping or stuff like that. So, to me, that one brings employment to the area, which can, bring in more housing, but it can also bring in more revenue in the way of, meals and shopping and other items like that. So
thank you, Michael.
Yep.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah, there's extensive plans for at least our business. We got purchased in December, so it's still kind of in that mapping out phase, but we're looking at a 2-year to 5-year strategic roadmap to build up, all of this for Truett, which does include some building renovations as well.
Does that include that to the west too, that little block there between Second and Wallace and Murlock and Bassett and that, down.
Yeah, so like right on the corner of Bassett and Murlock, these two little outcrop buildings, those two really need to have something done with it. Mm-hmm. This empty lot, which is like right behind the Dutch Brothers, we were actually talking about having a new building put there to support some of just the business in general.
Yeah.
Again, building a building from scratch, it's a lot of investment, so it's really kind of shuffling around what that would take to do that.
To the south of that little area.
To the south, I'm not sure what that is.
Suite.
That's all Rain Suite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they use that?
So that one is vacant. That's one of the ones. So Oregon Fruit, over this way and Rain Suite. I think that Jeff Blackburn is looking to, there might be something operating in here. I'm not sure exactly what. I know he's looking to do like a tentative use until it redevelops. So there might be some, but you probably have seen lease or signs out that way, because I don't think it's fully utilized.
Jeff, do you know if going into that building on Second, Murlock, Bassett, Wallace, that big triangle, is that thing earthquake sound? Is it a big undertaking to take in a new thing in that spot, or is it ready to go? Or
there's a whole conversation that could take place on going back to Michael's comments of redeveloping and doing some things. It's not economically feasible to chop up, if you're talking about Rain Suite, and I don't want to speak to it directly. I know Mark probably has more numbers on it than I do. Kind of from a 30,000 foot level, to chop that up and make it 2,000, 3,000 square foot spaces with ADA compliance and retrofitting and all those things just does not mathematically add up to make it a viable option for anybody to go in there. What really needs to happen there, from my perspective, and I'm going to push back on both Michael and Tyler's comments a little bit, is, Michael, you made a comment that some of the members were saying that they want to stop the development here. And the reality is that's just not going to happen as long as there's demand for housing, because the urban growth boundary, only place to build homes at this point is West Salem and part of South Salem. So they're going to continue to build homes here. And dovetailing into that, to Tyler's comments, I personally think that we need a mid box to a bigger box, like a Fred Meyer, not necessarily a Walmart or something along those lines. And that's not to detract from Tyler's statements about having a family fun center, because I agree with all of that. But we do need something like a Fred Meyer or something larger that can accommodate multiple needs, from automotive to food. I mean, we got 2 grocery stores, but you understand my meaning, a diverse retailer that can come in and service West Salem. Going back to Michael's point, to avoid people leaving West Salem to go to a Fred Meyer or a Target or whatever the case may be. I would love to see something get redeveloped there. But it comes down to finance. Mom and pops cannot afford the financing. And I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but Michael, I'm happy to connect with you after, offline, and get into a deep dive on some of these conversations. This is what I do for a living, and so I understand it. But in an effort to try and move this forward, there was a comment, Michael, about the taxing and the tax increment financing. I think it'd be great to clarify that so that Tori specifically can answer it, and you can take it back to the membership in fairness and transparency.
Okay. And just so that you know, one of the things that we understand as an executive board, we're not going to stop growth. What we're trying to push back to the city is, if you're going to build out here, but we need some more infrastructure support out here. One of the biggest issues I have with the city that I'm trying to get them to do is, I'm trying to get them to get one of these places out here that is vacant and put in a maintenance yard over here. So in case we have a major disaster and the bridge goes out, we have equipment on this side of the bridge that supports West Salem. And we're having this discussion back and forth about, well, you can't have 2 maintenance yards. It's hard to have, well, I said, people that, maybe people that work in this maintenance yard would want to live out in West Salem, so we're trying to those kind of things. And I also think we need to have a police substation out here. And that's another issue we're having, because we're having a difficult, there's only one patrol officer that patrols out here, and then, they have backup when they need it. So I think there's a bigger picture that from an infrastructure, we're not going to stop growth. We need to have growth. I understand that totally. We just need some infrastructure to support that growth, and trying to get that resolved is very difficult. But I agree with you. We do need the growth. I can talk to Tori offline and get this information about how I don't know where this message came from the taxpayer thing. I think it's all, I just think we could just talk about it, and I'll be glad to talk to you offline with it. I don't want to take up all your meeting. I appreciate you guys listening to us. It's, a lot of this stuff is really high in the long term. I'm glad to hear that you guys have a strategic plan for that area. And if you have I think it's great if you're going to redevelop some of that and the companies are going to come in and build into it. That would make it easier for smaller companies to say, hey, let me come in here and let me open a sandwich shop somewhere down here in one of these smaller buildings to support this growth. And maybe it's a 3 to 5 year plan or whatever. At least there's something on a roadmap, which I think is fantastic. So I'm glad to hear that those kind of conversations are going on. So I know I've taken enough of your time. I appreciate you guys listening to me. Again, if you ever need to get a hold of me, just please reach out. And I'll reach out to
too. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And Tori, I'll reach out to you. We could talk about the tax thing and then the budget and all that offline. I don't want to take everybody else's time.
Well, I just want to bring it up since it was raised. I just wanted to clarify, so because people, they might be viewing this on YouTube, so I just wanted to clarify. So the tax that we utilize isn't any different. All that it means is 2001, the taxes that were, through property taxes, they are dispersed through usual means. All it means is post 2001 is that same tax rate as properties have grown. That funding is retained. And what the area that I'm talking about is this kind of the lower area. It goes out to Rosemont, follows kind of the ridge line, towards Glen Creek, crosses over. So it's really this geographical area, and that's the area that we have an urban renewal plan, guiding it. We have an action plan that we enhanced the urban renewal plan in 2015. So it's very strategic. It's very public, how the funding is utilized. And just to clarify too, there have been a lot of improvements to parks and Edgewater, and what we're looking at doing now is including a connectivity and a connection of Second Street where there's a Second Street now. So that'll be coming, and I'll be happy to share that with your West Salem Neighborhood Association group when we get to that point. But that it is funding local connectivity projects and helping the community. So it's not a different tax. It's not neighborhood wide, and it hasn't changed. It's the same tax rate. It's just allocated differently, and that allocation is very specific geographically to improvements in this specific area. So not everyone is feeling it, and it's not any different than, it hasn't been a tax increase. It's not a bond project or anything like that. So just to clarify.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, I want to thank you guys. I'm going to have to get off. I have a business meeting here in about 10 minutes that I have to get ready for. So appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Michael. That was good.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
All right. Well, with that said, we're kind of at the end of the agenda. So if there's anyone that has Edgewater Partnership, Business Association, we can probably start with Samantha. It looks like she's masked up, so we're safe, and she can tell us about the Business Association.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna jump in a airplane or something. We have our golf tournament. I believe there's a meeting tonight to get some more plans solidified. So stay tuned for that. Is anyone interested in getting a team together? Tori?
What's the details?
Jess, Mark?
I'll socialize.
Dawn, Brittany? Well, Brittany, of course.
Tori, we should just do our own team.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I would really like, it's so awesome to have involvement from everyone. And me and Brittany are on the photography squad. So it's going to be a lot of fun. 2 years ago, 2 years ago, right? It was a lot of fun. So it'd be super great to see all of you guys out there. If you need any information, contact me.
Last year was at Salem, right? It was, or 2 years ago was at Salem.
The year before. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Salem.
When I say last year, I mean 2019.
I get it.
Yeah.
The year.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And we had a pretty good outcome. So anywho, I think that's all I have. Yeah.
When is that golf tournament, Samantha? I've forgotten.
You know, I pulled it up and then I exited it out. It's July give me a moment here.
Pretty sure it's July 23rd. Does that sound
23rd.
right?
Okay, thank you, Brittany. I was going to say the 26th. Yeah, 23rd.
I'll put it in the calendar to.
Send us an invite.
Okay.
Send us all.
Oh,
We can do our own
Everybody
teams.
say hi to Kathy. I think she's on, but we're not seeing her.
Hi,
hi,
Kathy.
Kathy.
Hi,
See,
I'm
hope you're well,
been on
Kathy.
for quite a while. Had a little trouble getting on since my phone said I needed a new
Update or something?
identity.
Oh,
A
no,
little
I didn't.
ridiculous. So the gentleman that just signed off, what was his name again?
Michael Freitas, he's with the neighbors. He's the chair of the neighborhood association, the West Salem Neighborhood Association.
Okay. So I was a little impacted that he was talking about zone change again and this sort of thing. We just did that.
Yeah, I think not so much what our project is. I think he's just tracking the Our Salem effort, and there is other parts of our West Salem or renewal area that would be, I don't know what to say, impacted, but would be part of this change. So I think that's what it was referring to.
Okay. So I certainly side with Jeff in that we do need a big box. I mean, we've got 2 grocery stores, but they aren't one-stop shopping. I mean, we need people, we need a store that'll have tennis shoes and egg rolls and spinach and God knows what. So you can go down and buy your kid what is school saying he needs right then for some project. We don't have anything over there like that. And I'm not sure he understood that.
Where do you guys see that going?
Oh, I can see it. There's room on the second layer of Edgewater, not right on Edgewater, but a ways back. Out towards, you have Safeway out there.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you
we're
have-
just for down Greystone. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
on the other end of Wallace, you have Ross. There's all kinds of area really around that. Most of that's saved for river frontage, I would think. But across Edgewater, there's still all kinds of spots back there. Look where you go out on, is it Eola?
Mhm.
And around there, Jeff, you know of lots of spots that could handle that.
Yeah.
So
I
Kathy,
we
this is
haven't-
Mark,
yeah.
real quick. About 10 years ago, there was an attempt to bring Fred Meyers into West Salem. There were rumors going around to that effect, and they were true in as much as it was an attempt. At that time, Fred Meyers needed at least 10 acres minimum. And the location they were actually looking at was the Rain Suite property and what is now the Goodwill property prior to that development. And traffic flow and actually the size of that combined Goodwill Rain Suite property was too small for Fred Meyers at the time. So I'm not a developer. I just was aware of that attempt by others. And so just for frame of reference, the kind of footprint that you need for a big box is, all of that Rain Suite 5 acres plus all of the entirety of the Goodwill space, probably plus a little, and all of that with really excellent traffic interconnectivity at the same time, because they're not going to put it, up by West Salem High School or something like that, right? So just for frame of reference, I mean, I'm just talking about what it takes to put a big box in, whether or not people want it or think it's a good idea or anything else. I think the reality is there's not room in West Salem that's zoned appropriately, that has the traffic interconnectivity and is available, to build in that large of a square. Again, that's just a kind of an objective statement about the lay of the land, so to speak, not any sort of desire one way or another.
Jeff, I thought about Riverbend, deep Riverbend, like Riverbend and Enola, or Riverbend and Wallace. Sorry, Kathy, Tyler here. Any thoughts down that way, or is that too far out of?
Oh, I don't
district?
think it's too far out if you consider where the population lies. But I think, Jeff, are you there?
Yeah.
Bail
He's
me out,
present, but he's not
please.
here.
Well, I would agree with all the statements, frankly. I think that what is, and I think we're getting off subject here. I don't think we need to dive into this rabbit hole, but in the end, there's a lot of people that are moving out to West Salem, whether it's a mid box, which is what I indicated earlier, or a big box. I don't think that it necessarily has to go on Murlark or Patterson, even though there's a lot of square footage there. I think there's other opportunities that are further out 22, further out Wallace, and people will go there as opposed to going across the bridge if the connectivity is there, to Mark's point. Right now, that connectivity isn't there, and we're making efforts as a group, as we all know, to improve Second Street to help with some of that connectivity issue. But there's always going to be constraints there, and so I do think that we need something large out there, larger than what we've got, and more diverse as far as product types, product offerings. But again, I think that we're going down a rabbit hole that isn't going to be solved in this conversation. So that said, let's move on.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're well done.
Edgewater Partnership, is anyone involved in Edgewater Partnership anymore? I know that I am not.
That was, oh gosh, I'm horrible with names.
Dwayne.
Steve, was it Steve Anderson?
Oh, yeah. Steve.
I met with him. I had coffee, and we had discussed Edgewater Partnership, West Salem Business Association, and West Salem Neighborhood Association kind of coming together and being more transparent on our meetings, board meetings, a plan, if you will. So I think they're trying to ramp it up with this new, is it Michael Furries coming on board? I mean, I definitely got that impression from him. He's trying to make things, happen at some capacity. So anyhow, that's all I know about Edgewater, more to come, but we're trying to bring everyone together as far as the West Salem partnerships. So there, again, is more transparency. So does that make sense, Jeff?
Can't hear you, Jeff.
With that, any meeting topics for next week, next month, or anything that people would like to see, Tyler?
Not next month, or it doesn't have to be next month or the month after, but kind of to continue Mark's kind of discussion there that he just pushed on. Some sort of a traffic study of some sort to discuss if we do want to expand and enhance West Salem, just to know the needs of others that, in that kind of conjunction of Taggart, and how, if they think their expansion and their needs are going to be filled, because that's big business in West Salem. And it would do us wrong if we didn't do it occasionally. Don't want to talk about it all the time, but occasionally. Some sort of a study, Tori, something that talks about where we're going and how we see us enhancing it.
So I might want to share, as far as the study, I don't know that we have another study coming up. We just completed one in 2015. I think it's a good idea to check in with businesses. I know we try to do that as a group anyway, just to get a sense of how things are moving, just to prepare for future. I think the Second Street effort is going to be a big one. I know that with the approval that the council had with our Salem and changes, I know that Eunice wants to come back and talk. If it's a brainstorming discussion, I'm happy to include that as part of an agenda where we just set it aside and everyone throws things, ideas, issues at it, and we see how we can address it. that's maybe where you're going, Tyler.
I would love to hear from, from Truett Brothers, what their needs, if their needs are being met, if they wish they'd have their own entrance into Wallace or the bridge, that is their own street, or, just because it seems to be very complicated in that Taggart area where all sorts of stuff comes together. And it's the bottleneck of West Salem. Edgewater's been fixed in theory, but Taggart is
Yeah,
a nightmare of no medians and people turning every direction and big trucks and, all sorts of things going on without kind of seems like there's no plan in sight to what's going to happen there.
I can say that Truett Brothers has recognized some of that, and we have redesigned one of our trucking yards. So we fenced in an area inside of our trucking yard so a truck can pull fully in and no longer block Merlark. So we have been addressing some of those. And like I said before, there's still a 5-year roadmap that we're looking at for improvements. But part of that was redesigning some of those open lots that we have and have dock doors so trucks can come in fully and not block some of those areas. So we're taking it upon ourselves to try to better that. And it just gives a lot more flow for everything else in the east, because we have three separate areas where trucks can dock, depending on if they're picking up a load, if they're dropping off a load, if they're doing a transfer between buildings, things like that. So yeah, it's in our heads, but yeah, as how it impacts the traffic flow for the bridge, I don't think that's something we've really taken into consideration, mostly because we don't own the trucking lines. So it's, as the truckers coming in complain, we may try to do something about that. But, right now our needs are met for the most part.
Great.
Yeah.
When they leave, do you guys say suggestions of head down Merlark and then turn on to Edgewater or anything like that? Or do you say?
Honestly, most of the drivers that we have is part of the route. So, I mean, there's guys that I'm surprised don't actually work for Truett. I'm walking in and out of the building and I'll see them 2-3 times a day because they'll just go to a local warehouse, pick up stuff and come back to us. So a lot of them, I would say, have a pretty good familiar sense of the lay of the land and how to get in and out.
All right, well, listen, just for the sake of time, we have a couple more minutes. If there's anything anyone else would like to discuss or anything for the good of the order, speak now or forever hold your peace. Well, Brittany, you want to jump in and just talk about something for 5 minutes? I'm kidding, I'm teasing.
Good, thanks.
All right. John, you've been awful quiet today as well.
Just a great listener, Jeff. I'm just a great listener.
Not like me, apparently. All right, everybody. Well, listen, thank you for everyone for your time today. I hope you all have a great day. Last day of sunshine, I think a little bit of rain tonight, so get out and enjoy it if you can.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Have a great day.
Good to see you.
Hey guys.